Should we talk about racism today? What do you think, racially insensitive Kirby? Oh yeah. Welcome friends, LostScarf here, and it's time for the vlog, and we're going to be a bit about race and other things, just Americans in general. But this is Wing Kirby, not Bird Kirby, Wing Kirby. And as you can see him, he's very much the village people here. There's his back right there. You can tell what the aesthetic they're going for is. And you can question, is this appropriation or appreciation? And sometimes I think we're a bit too crazy about race at times. We take it a little too seriously, and we get a little bit ridiculous about it. And I'm going to be all over the place about race, and you're going to disagree and agree with me on a bunch of things. But when it comes to the Japanese, it's very interesting how race is for them, because Japanese are extremely racist, hella racist. But they don't see any problem with just utilizing things from other countries and all that stuff. And generally they see it as appreciation, not appropriation. And I think I would agree, but I think it's because it's like a shallow level of it. It's not like they did a bunch of studies into Native American stuff and then made this Kirby. They're like, you know, that looks really cool, like the feather things and everything. Let's make Kirby that outfit. And that's really what happened there. That's kind of what happens. It's like, this is a cool look, let's put that in there. And the question is it appropriation or appreciation? And it really just depends on, I guess, on the person themselves, what they think, but there's also on the person who made it themselves. And there's times when appreciation is viewed as appropriation, and appropriation is viewed as appreciation, or things are just painted correctly. And we can talk about that in a bit. Now, first thing we'll talk about is, well, I mean, it's going to be about racism. But on a lighter note, let's talk about gaming really quick. I just got Chimera Squad XCOM, and it's really good. I'm enjoying it a lot, and it deals with racism itself, because this is, after XCOM 2, there's still aliens on the planet, and they're trying to assimilate with humanity. And so there's, you know, racism going on there. So it's interesting to see that in a game. Very much interesting to see that. And so let's talk about things. I'm talking about things from the past, the present, and the future. Well, not really future, the past and the present when I say future, just because it rolls off. But America's ridiculous. And what just happened was the storming of Michigan. The state building in Michigan. Ridiculous, because it was a bunch of white people stormed it, protesting. There were guns there. Try doing that as a minority and see how well that goes, basically. That double standard is very frustrating for Americans, but a lot of us accept it at the same time, and it's very unfortunate. I said this before a long time ago, and that is, and I said this with colleagues in college, and even past that, I said this with colleagues, and they were like, who do you think is the craziest country? And I always say it's America. And one of the defenses was, really? Not Amsterdam? It's like, what? So Amsterdam has a lot of drugs, and it's legal, and they have brothels, and it's legal, and okay, sure. Alright. There's sex on TV and all this stuff. Why are we the crazier one? Because we have brothels, we have drugs, we have all the same things Amsterdam has. The difference between them and us is, we're not open about it. That's the only difference is, we say one thing while we're another on the inside. That's really what we are, and that's what makes us crazier to me, is because we double speak all the time. We double think all the time. And that's why I think we're crazier, because we're literally crazier. We really are. We are ridiculous, and our double standard is ridiculous. Just take the Michigan thing, like I just said a minute ago. Bunch of white people there, big white protest. There were guns there. If you did that as a minority, they would not be allowed to do that. They would be dispersed. There would be so many arrests. There would be just so much chaos and all that stuff. Because nobody trusts a minority with weapons, for some reason. It's just always been that stereotype. Let's go back to something in the past. That is, and that also, it'll also lead to the present when it comes to COVID, is just, who's allowed to say they have a gun to police? There's an old segment of Sean Hannity where he's going over just like, if he gets pulled over and there's a cop, he's like, comes out, he's a white man, so he's like, hey, just let you know, I have a gun on me. Just make sure you know that, officer, and then you give him your information and all that stuff. And that's a white privilege, and that, well, you can be okay when you tell a cop that. Now, if you're a minority and you tell a cop that, you're getting shot, and we have examples of that actually happening. Where what sucks for minorities is they have to be correct. And they have to be correct as much as possible, because if they blow it at any point, they could be killed. And even when they are correct, they can still be killed. And it was, I believe his name was Philando Castillo. When he, like, officer pulls him over, and he says, officer, like, just letting you know, I have a gun in the vehicle. It's legal and all that stuff. Now let me go get my information. And then he gets shot when he goes for his information. And it's caught on camera phone and all that stuff, and it's very depressing. You can watch a man die if you want on screen. Very awful. And he was just, yeah, dang it. Very unfortunate. Whoops. It's frustrating. It's frustrating how many times minorities get killed for dumb things. A young boy was with a toy gun, an obviously toy gun, was shot and killed by police because they thought they were in danger. A man was killed because they thought he was holding a grenade when he was eating a pear. Really silly things happen. It's very silly. It's extremely silly. And the thing is, now we talk about gun control and how we need to get, there's a lot of different groups, of course, but there's talks of gun control. And the thing is, you're not going to get all minorities for that, because minorities need guns too, because they need to feel protected. They need to feel like they can protect themselves, and a firearm is the means to do that. So you don't have only white people who are like, no, we don't want gun control. You also have minorities who want it as well because they want to feel protected. Personally, I'm on the gun control side of things just because I'd like to have less gun shootings. I'd really like that to be a thing. Less shootings, for sure, and also less suicides by gun. I would like that as well. I can guarantee you if I had a gun in my house, I wouldn't be here today. I know that already. Because it's way too easy. Point-click interface. That's all you need. So, yeah, you can't really slow down a suicide on that one. You just can't. So the double standard is not great. It really isn't. But I do think sometimes we get a little too crazy about racism as well in this country. But before I go to that, I just remembered the other thing I'm talking about. That is COVID-19 with the masks. When they were like, okay, everyone needs to mask up, the minority's like, I don't, do we really have to? Because through everyone's mind, they're already running how many suspicious looks they're going to get. How many people are going to think they're doing something a little not so on the level? How many people think, just minorities think, like, how many cops are going to be looking at them because they're wearing a mask? Even though this COVID thing's happening, how many are going to look? Because prior, we see an Asian person wear a mask, he's like, oh, that's just normal. Asian person wearing a mask. Okay, we see anyone else wearing a mask, it feels shady. Especially though if it's a minority that isn't Asian. That's just how it is. So this just comes from my coworkers. They're like, they have sons and daughters, and they feel very uncomfortable about their children going out wearing a bandana or whatever around their face. Because they're like, that's going to look suspicious just because they're a minority. And that's not going to go well. They know it, and that really sucks. Like, this is why, if they can, they'd rather wear the 95 mask than a bandana or anything, because if they wear the 95 mask, it looks less suspicious. But if they wear a bandana, doesn't matter, it's COVID, they're going to look suspicious. And that's frustrating. That is a frustrating truth of just the double standards on race here. Now, I did say white privilege. There is a privilege to being white, and that is just certain things you're not being suspicious of. That's it. That's really it. Because plenty of white people have it tough. Like, it's not like they have it easier in a lot of ways. But the one ease they have is, I can trust a white person ain't going to get shot as much as a black person will be, or a brown person, when it comes to just the cops. That I can trust. Other things, we're all in it together. But something like that, I know damn well. Because I have plenty of white trash friends. And they get really offended about white privilege. And I get it. I really do. But you ain't going to get shot and you know it. Simple as that. Me, every time a cop comes by, I'm a little worried. Let's talk about race again real quick. Back in the day, say 10 years ago, this was all longer. And by the way, I forgot to mention, like, look at the mess this is. Like, I'm purposely not doing anything with any of this. I just want to see how bad it gets in the quarantine. This is all unshaved. This is all unkempt on purpose just to see how bad it can get. Because we're all indoors right now. No one's expected to be outdoors. And when this gets full on, when this all grows out, I've had family go like, "You look like a Muslim. You're gonna get pulled over," and it's happened. This is more in the height of like after 9/11, all that stuff. But um, when I went on flights, and I looked like when this was more full. When I went on flights, my luggage always got checked. Every single time. Random check. Sure, buddy. Sure, random check. All right, okay. I don't know how you randomly get checked every time. I shave all this off, never get random checked. Seriously, it's a bit ridiculous. There are racial problems. There definitely are. And sometimes it's innocent, sometimes it's not so innocent. But I don't know. It's just feel bad for the Sikhs after 9/11. Um it's ridiculous. Racism is ridiculous. It really is. Let's talk about racism in a different thing. Let's talk about appropriation and appreciation. Apparently I'm just talking about racism all over the place wherever I can. It's a question of appropriation and appreciation with a lot of things. But I think sometimes race can be a little too precious about it. Sushi made by a Japanese man or by a Mexican is made by a man or a woman, is made by a person. It should not matter who's making it unless one has more experience than the other. Honestly. It weirds me out when people are like, I only get Chinese food made by Chinese people. I only get sushi made by a Japanese person. It gets a bit silly. There is a chance it'll be made better by a certain race because they should have more experience with it. But that does not guarantee they're the best ones for the job. There's a white guy whose name I can't remember right now, which frustrates me right now, but I'm not gonna derail this vlog just to look up the name, unfortunately. This dude effing loves Mexican food. He loves it a bunch. He loves the hell out of Mexican food. He understands it inside and out. He can make these amazing Mexican dishes. It's awesome. It's really good stuff. Like, that's what all the critics always say. He loves Mexican food. But people will come at him and be like, what are you doing appropriating my race? What are you doing whitewashing my race? What are you doing? The dude is making, as authentic as he can, Mexican food. He's making it amazing. He's trying to make it something that everyone appreciates. But Mexicans themselves are breaking him down. This man is trying to spread Mexican food to everybody so everyone can appreciate it, everyone can love it, everyone can eat it, and have it at a finer level as well. And they're acting like he's appropriating it when he's trying to appreciate it as hard as he can. It does get frustrating because how can you spread culture and things like that if you don't let it get spread? It's kind of a preciousness to it. And I don't have a problem with things getting watered down if more people get to enjoy a thing. I really don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people just taking my culture and gaining something from it and it just gets watered down because everyone's utilizing it. I don't give a crap about that because more people are enjoying this culture. I don't see the problem there. I really don't. Because more people are enjoying it. That's how I view it. More people enjoying Mexican food, what's wrong with that? What's the problem with that? And it's because, well, we've seen bad examples of that. You can have, of course, the Aztec, the Redskins, a football team called the Redskins. Or the football team that's the Aztecs. You can have, what was the other one? There were two, weren't there? Yeah, the Chiefs. Like, it feels like appropriation because this big, massive company, the sports team, two different sports teams, or multiple sports teams, actually, there's a lot of them, making all this money off this mascot. And of course, if it's your people, you're like, you're treating my thing as this not real thing, like as a cartoon, as something you can just make money off of. And yeah, I'm sure the Chiefs and the Redskins aren't exactly giving a lot of money to the First Nations, now are they? So that really doesn't feel so great. That feels more icky. I don't really feel like they're appreciating Native Americans when they're doing football. For sure, I can tell that. It definitely feels like appropriation there. It's just, I feel like we're a little too sensitive about people wanting to partake in another culture. Because then how do we spread culture? If you make it that only this race can appreciate this culture, can only enjoy this culture. There is a difference between appropriation and appreciation. And I think sometimes people don't notice the difference. And that's important to figure that out. Anytime it's a big company, yeah, you can usually err on maybe they're appropriating. But when it's an individual, when it's a person, I think you should more err towards appreciation on that. Like, we've got the. I'm gonna go off rails here with the weebs. You got the weebs who really like Japanese stuff. You got that. And you got the Korea boos who really like Korean stuff and things like that. And you got. I'll go with my aunt. So, my aunt loves Hawaiian culture. He absolutely loves it. And we do have some Hawaiian blood, but it's not a lot of it because of Pacific Islanders. But every chance she gets, she likes showing off her Hawaiian stuff. She likes showing off her I can't remember what they're called right now. Just this the stuff you wear for the dances, like the grass dress and all that stuff. Every chance she gets, she likes to put it on and do a dance, and we all just groan about it because, like, oh yeah, we get it. You love Hawaiian stuff. We get it. We just we don't care enough. But the thing is, it's nice that she loves something, that she really enjoys this culture and she likes showing it off and all that stuff. Like, that's a good thing. That's a nice thing, so that people learn more about Hawaiian culture. Like, she can be an ambassador for that. Just as a family, like, okay, Jesus Christ, you really like that stuff. Okay. How do I want to end this? There's no real easy way to end it. We're talking about race. Racism just keeps going. Um, I think it's more just recognizing just how ridiculous it is. And I wish we could do something about it, but I don't really know what we can. One thing is race in media, and a very frustrating thing, and we'll talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about this. A frustrating thing is SJW and all that crap. They say, make what you want to see. Make for yourself something you want to see. And then you'll have like a black character or some other minority on a TV show or whatever, and people will cry SJW and all that stuff. Same thing goes for if you have women on there. And it's like, what do you want? I'm a minority in I'm putting what I want, and here I am now. I got a minority character on a show and whatever, and it's SJW. What do you want me to do? There's a back and forth in this and that. Minorities will decry whenever a a white person puts a minority in the show because they're like, "How do you know my? You don't know my culture and any of that stuff. What are you doing trying to use me for, um, to get points, basically, so that you can feel better about yourself?" It was like maybe if they just wanted to include more things than just white people and things like that, or there are minorities on the team and they want to see themselves in the show. I feel like we just get a little too sensitive about race and all that stuff. Another example, we'll end it here with this example. Pixar, Moana, Hawaii again. Moana, they spent years just being over in the island, studying the culture and everything so they can get it right and make Moana. And people are like, "What are you doing making Moana here? You're just going to appropriate our stuff and all that and everything?" And it was an amazing movie. Moana is one of my favorite movies ever. I really like it. I've watched it over 100 times already. I know I have. And I really like that movie. I like it a lot, and I don't feel like it's appropriate. I feel like they were just making this really great Polynesian movie here. And but when the trailer came out, people thought it was going to be appropriation and all this stuff. And the Pixar people were like, "What do you want us to do? We spent years studying everything. We've done everything we can to make the best thing we can make." It's a murky subject because then it'd be like, well, if you had more Hawaiians on staff or you had more minorities on staff and this and that, and you can't. I don't know. In a perfect world, then you could have like every race do everything, but you can't. There's just only so many jobs. I don't know. I feel like that was appreciation, not appropriation, and I'm glad they did it. Because the problem is if when white people try to make a thing and be as appreciative as they can, and they still get attacked for it, they can just go back to just doing only white characters. They can do that. So I don't know. I feel like there should be some fighting over things like this, but it should be done correctly and for the right reasons. And sometimes it's not done for the right reasons. Sometimes I feel like people just go for race just cause, and it doesn't go well. Oh, random story. Last one. This is the funny one. Is they're on CNN phone interview, and they're talking, And the guy in the phone interview is like, well, like he's talking about how he's just talking about race and everything, and how he's never had a problem getting a job or whatever. Like his name's like something, just a normal sounding name. He's never had a problem getting a job. He doesn't understand why race is an issue. And then she says, well, that's your white privilege there, because yeah, sure, you got a job all easy and everything, but it's not going to always work out for a black man. And he's like, ma'am, I don't think you do good research here because I am black. It's like, oh. It was like, and then he just bit into her, like just rolling into her really hard about how they always do white privilege and all this stuff on CNN and all that. That was deservedly so on that. Is, yeah, you can't just always go back to something like, well, white privilege or SJW or any of these different things. Like sometimes you gotta actually take the time to look and be like, okay, understand it better. Because I do think we take too many shortcuts, and racism is definitely a shortcut. So that's the vlog. Just talking about racism, because just this whole Michigan thing is ridiculous. Is really it, and I'm sitting too high. All right. Yeah, that's the vlog. That is the vlog. Just talking racism. I don't have anything better to talk about right now. It's just whatever happens Thursday and Friday is going to inform what the vlog is going to be about. Basically, really, that's what's going to be. So that's the vlog. I had fun talking about just all this stuff. It's just what's on my head. Like, geez, more racism things to think about. I have fun talking to you for watching and listening. That's what's all about, it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.